welcome to Yankees Chronicles, Ladies Edition. However, we're joined by a guest today. I'm Chris Northrup. Ladies, introduce yourselves. Evan, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Evan. You know me from the guys chat. I'm basically the guy that rants all the time. Thanks for having me, ladies.
Happy to have you.
All right, I'm Laura. I've been on Yankees Chronicles for a few episodes now and back after a couple-week hiatus with vacation and other stuff going on, but always a joy to be on this episode.
Hey everyone, I'm Lynn. This is only podcast number 2 for me. The first one was a blast, and
yeah, she came back.
and I even came back for more. So glad that you're watching and that you're with us.
Let's start off with some Yankee news. Anybody want to hop on that? I know we've got a game today. Anybody want to preview or anything to say about that?
I mean, what else is there to say except Cole on the mound and
Cole on the mound.
You know, I think that's a pretty good way to start the conversation about Game 1.
We actually get to watch this game today. It's on TV.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on MLB Network.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I can't wait for the season because I'm getting really sick of the spring training nonsense. I think it's too long. I think it's kind of a waste of time, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then also too with the blackouts and some games not being televised, that's getting pretty annoying.
Yep.
And I mean, to have them consecutively like that, knowing that the majority of the trading season now is going to be live and broadcast, why couldn't they, spread that out just a little?
Yeah.
You think they would, because Rob Manfred cares so much about profit, and he knows he needs to get the youth involved to get that profit, yet he's not marketing the players well enough to do that. He's not marketing the game well enough to do that. So, what do we have to do as fans to get him to do the right thing? We're here. We want to watch. He's just not giving it to us.
Right.
Yeah, and last week was a big spring break week for colleges and even some high schools. So that really adds to the mistake, to your point, Evan.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree with that. Today, the interesting thing is the Blue Jays lineup, I think. They have Tanner Roark on the mound, or Roark, I'm not exactly sure how you say his name, and they have an absolutely killer lineup. So it's going to be fun to see Cole, well, depending on who's in the lineup, I should say that. It is spring training. But so it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing it on TV and also seeing Cole line up against the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Blue Jays is always a rough ride for us, even in spring training. So it is going to come down, I think, to that pitching matchup there.
Yeah, and I know the Blue Jays are going to be a problem within the next few years because they're a young team and their core is only going to go up from there with Bichette and Vladimir Abreu Jr. So
that's right.
Yeah, they also have a fantastic farm system. Guys like Nate Pearson are coming up. They're going to be really, really good on the mound. So if their pitching is getting better, which is something that's been a weakness for the past decade, since Roy Halladay left, basically was their last superstar.
Mm-hmm. So it's only a matter of time before we're in competition with the Blue Jays for the AL East.
For sure.
I think those are the two teams to look at right now. I know Boston's fallen off. They could finish last. Baltimore has some interesting pieces. I think they're going to be ready within the next 5 years as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, which made it all the more hard to take postseason last year because everyone else was building and we tanked.
Right. It definitely anticipates one of our topics for today, which was how do you see the AL East stacking up this season? And definitely the Blue Jays, in my opinion, are going to be vying with the Yankees for first place. But I think the Yankees will definitely be the first place team. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to come, well, depending on injuries, et cetera. Never say never, right?
No, you don't know what the season's going to unfold.
You never know, knock on wood.
We still have to look at the Rays out of the corner of our eye, though.
Absolutely, you can never
Yeah,
discount the
we
Rays.
could realistically have 3 teams with like 90 wins. That's
Yes.
insane.
Yes. It's going to
Yeah,
be a
agreed.
division. I saw an interesting article this week, and you guys probably saw it too. Dan Martin of the New York Post, and then there was a hilarious bunch of fake New York Post articles that came out, I think as a result even of this. But anyway, he came out and said that Germán is looking like a second ace, and that he could be, in fact, competing with Cole for the ace position in the Yankee lineup.
Oh my
No.
Oh,
No. Look,
No.
just because came back with, some nasty pitches that we haven't seen, before the absence,
Right.
let's not jump on that bandwagon too soon. My jury is big time out on that. And it takes a lot to say that anyone's going to surpass Cole anywhere, except we're talking about DeGrom.
Exactly, unless we're talking about DeGrom. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, after all, Germán has a 16-month layoff. He says that he is having a good spring because he has physically prepared himself coming into camp, and he believes he can pitch 150 innings. It sounds like Germán may believe that he could be a second ace. He doesn't say that. I don't mean that. But, I mean, he believes in himself, and he's certainly putting on a good spring.
I mean, he has to. It's his last chance. He's not making this team if he doesn't perform well. And that's the problem in society. If I went home and hit my ex-wife, not only would I not be on this show anymore, I'd probably lose most of my friends and my job. So the fact that because he's going to get us a championship maybe is ridiculous. I don't like it. It bothers me. And I think part of the issue here is that if you go back to the season in which he did really well, yes, he got 18 wins on that season. He also had a 4.7 ERA.
Right.
Yeah.
And he did it. He was able to get the 18 wins, not because of his individual performances alone,
right,
but because the run support behind him on average for 32 starts on that season was over 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's unheard of. You know what DeGrom's is? DeGrom gets 2 runs of support a game, and he pitches to a under 1 ERA.
Right.
There's a big difference there. That's
huge
an ace.
difference. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, Germán led the majors with a 181 winning percentage, but this maybe just goes back to the argument, do wins matter? And, as you were saying, Evan, in the case of Germán, he didn't do it alone, obviously. He had plenty of help that season. But I'm looking forward to seeing Germán on the mound. I'm not going to be talking about Germán in any other, capacity during this season. When he's on the mound, I'll be talking about him. When he's not on the mound, that's it.
I'm the same way as well. Like, I'm going to focus on him as a player and as him, like, helping the team get to, the World Series, hopefully. But
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying, but I cannot let go. I'm still not over Chappie, for that matter.
Yeah,
that's understandable too.
Part of the reason why we're the dynasty and the most revered team, so to speak, in baseball is because of our character as well, and what we represent as a professional ball club. And I know this is all tied to union nonsense, but sorry, I'm just too old school to end too much of what I believe about domestic violence. It's going to be hard, but I'm not going to not be happy if he contributes and gets us the ring, helps us get there with the 28th. But no, never going to be an outward supporter. Sorry.
Many fans are going to agree with you. He's got a lot to prove coming into the season and on so many levels. It remains to be seen what he can do.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lynn. I personally can't separate the two because I feel like what you do in your personal life definitely crosses over, especially when you're an example for millions and millions of people.
Yes.
You know, like I said before, if I did that thing, my life would be over, but no one would know about it. There's a big difference. His life isn't over, and everyone knows about it. That's
Right.
that's not okay. Society needs to change how we handle that. And as someone who advocates for mental health issues in this country for both men and women, I feel incredibly fake if I support someone who has a mental health issue who refuses to get help for it. I want to give him help, but he's not going to take it. He basically came out with an apology to us, the fans, and didn't apologize to the woman who he beat up, who I think he might have married.
He married.
Oh yeah, good point there.
Yeah, he did. Go take a look at those pictures. There's a lot flying around on the feeds about that yesterday.
Yes,
But
there was.
yeah, one last comment, and then you know, I'm glad to move on. You know, show some integrity and do something for society. You know, get out to those youth clubs, to those, you know, team high school teams, you know, and make a message about, look, you know, what I did was not in any way, you know, me being a role model to you guys. And
yeah, he needs to be at children's hospitals handing out teddy bears for the next 10 years. That's what he needs to do.
That's what
as
he
long
needs.
as it's not a
Yeah, that
PR
would be
stunt,
good.
it has to be, you know, for a particular organization. And
Right.
that would go a long way with the fans, I think, if he had done that. But
Look how much Chapman had to go through, and people still hate him. He's done far more to
Yes.
redeem himself than
Yes.
Herman has done, and yet people still think he's an abuser, even though he never really hit her. She even said it herself. He choked her, but she could breathe the whole time and understood that he basically wanted her to leave him alone. Not saying it's okay, but like there's a big difference in both cases, and I think we don't
Right.
examine a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
I could agree with that.
Yep.
Yep, same here.
Well, let's move on. Urshela spelled Torres at shortstop this week, which I thought was very interesting. And what are some of the implications of that experiment, say, for the competing bench players? What do you guys think?
Well, I think for Wade, that's going to put him in the hot seat because he needs to perform offensively in order to get a spot on the bench, but he hasn't really produced as much as we want him to. So in that case, if Urshela is more comfortable with shortstop, then it could lead to Wade starting the season in AAA.
I've seen some really good growth from Glaber during spring training. I think that, you know, defensively he's turned a corner. That clumsiness and that hesitation we were seeing, you know, in turning plays last season, you know, I think I'm seeing an improvement there that's worth giving him the time. I think we said last week when we were talking about Urshela, he's not a utility man. You know, Chris, I think you were the one that made that point.
Yeah.
And why are we fixing what's not broken there? He's our third baseman, and he's solid there. And I'm making the connection, and Chris, you and I talked about this offline a little bit, about this article that's starting to come around now about the possibility of getting Trevor Story off of the Diamondbacks. I'm glad to see you doing this, Evan, because you're joining me and Chris already in the vote.
Yeah.
And we give up Andujar and Herman. Am I right? Andujar,
Loaizaga, Garcia, and
give up Davey. Right. Good choice. You know.
They probably asked for Clint as well. I mean, and Duhar has no value to anyone.
No.
Right now, you know, it's like he's not a third baseman. We've made that clear. We don't like him in left field. We're not trying him at first base. So he's a DH then. So that means the whole National League is out because they're not doing the DH there. So the Colorado Rockies would not trade us Trevor Story for Duhar as a headliner.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, sorry, Rockies, not that.
You know, I think you made an interesting point about Glaber's improvement this season. I mean, his best season was 2019, of course. Offensively, he was, you know, batting .278 with a 127 OPS. He had 38 home runs that year. Let's remember he came over as the #1 prospect. His comps are Ronald Acuna of the Braves and Juan Soto of the Nationals. But his defense is nowhere near what theirs is, obviously. He played 77 games at shortstop in 65 games at second base. He split time. And his defensive metrics show that he was below average at both positions. So splitting was probably not the best thing for Glaber.
I have a question. Sorry to cut you off, but do you think it's a fair comparison to compare a shortstop to two outfielders?
No.
It's not, which is the hardest position defensively.
Not true. Not you're right.
No, I'm not. It wasn't your comparison, so I'm not bashing you. I'm just saying in general, I hate when, especially on Twitter, people throw out all these names because of age or how they perform. You need to look into so much more than that. I think Gleyber Torres probably would be closer to what Lindor became. He plays like that. If defensively he can figure it out, he could be a Gold Glove guy. He would have been a Gold Glover at second baseman, but he came up with shortstop, and then because he did so well at second base, no one wants to give him the chance at shortstop.
Right.
Which makes no sense.
Yep. And he had a down year in 2020 as far as both offensively and defensively. He wasn't in condition when he came into camp. Brian Cashman has said that. He also was hurt part of the season. He had the hamstring problem that kept him out like 10 days or so. But Gleyber Torres has a lot to prove in 2021, but he's already off offensively to a good start. He's been more better in the field than improved in the field, as you said. I'm hoping we continue to see this, and I don't want to see Urshela at shortstop.
No. That doesn't mean I want Trevor Story.
Right. That doesn't mean we don't need Trevor Story.
We don't need Trevor Story.
No, we don't need him. If Gleyber can produce this season, then he's our shortstop going forward. Because you already have DJ at second base, and then you want to keep Urshela at third base.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And I know I'm a sentimentalist. It's coming clear on this episode, but he started with us. I'd like to see him be a potential career Yankee.
Oh,
we're running out of those, and he's worth the investment still. Let's keep an eye and do what's best for the game, obviously. But that sentimental aspect, gotta admit, gets me sometimes. And I do see some results. Is it all-star results? No, not yet. But let's see what the first half of the season does.
Yeah.
But it could, like with their shelving at shortstop, like going back to the point before about bench players too, that's going to be a key factor.
That's right.
Well, the whole reason for me why they are trying Gio at shortstop is not because he's going to be a starter at shortstop.
No.
It's because what you need is to basically get as much depth as possible for when there's rest days, for when someone gets injured. So if he can play 1 or 2 games at shortstop, that doesn't bother me. But I agree, moving forward, he's our third baseman of the future. Torres is at shortstop, and we got DJ for the next 6 years at second base. That's what it needs. Like, I don't feel comfortable moving DJ to first. He's not going to play shortstop. He can, but you don't need him to. The reason you want depth is not because you're going to do that every game, but it's because it gives you the luxury to be able to when you need it.
Yep.
Exactly. You're right on that.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yep. Did you guys see this? And I pointed it out to you before we started, but Evan hasn't seen this. Did you see that Ryan Spader? He's an MLB analyst. He tweeted out this week about shortstops. He said the difference between third base and shortstop is fewer than 0.150 plays per inning. Some people need to understand this and realize that shortstop is not that special. Is Spader right? Is he right about it for the Yankees? Is shortstop not that special that we need to be really?
You know why shortstop was invented?
Why?
Because they didn't want someone to have to, like the second baseman, to have to stay on the bag for the cutoff throw. So the shortstop was the guy who was created for the cutoff.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a very important position. And I'm sorry, but shortstop and third base are the hardest. Third base hard because of how quick it is. Shortstop's difficult because of the range you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, couldn't disagree with him more. I mean, shortstop is the keystone of the infield defense. He's just got to be able to make those plays and have the range. I mean, that was the knock on Didi. He didn't have the range. But
right
now,
you keep bringing him up.
Yeah,
I told you, I tear up when I hear his name still.
I love Didi. He was one of my favorites. I thought that was one of the most underrated trades.
Man.
It was so good,
definitely.
so smart.
He went to my Joe, and that's the only reason I felt a little bit okay. But I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah. But he was the perfect shortstop to have after Derek Jeter retired. So,
Yeah.
That little piece, it still hurts a little at times, but
Yeah.
it's good that he's back with Joe Girardi. And
Yeah.
I miss Joe too. I love Joe Girardi.
I still have my number 25 jersey. I'll never let it go.
Look what I'm wearing today. This is the jersey I got on. Can you see
Oh,
that?
okay.
Oh, Adam
I mean, what am I supposed to do with this now?
Right? And it was a
know.
historic jersey. It was the first time zero's ever been used by a Yankee. And now
That's why I bought it. I'm like, this is special.
It is.
I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
Who
Now
knows,
we
another
get
player
Red
will wear
Sox.
zero one day.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
What are
hopefully
we
someone.
looking at for game 2 today?
You
Does
mean
anyone know? I don't. That's why. If not, we'll
you
do
mean
a couple more.
who's pitching or who's?
Yeah, I don't think we have the lineup yet, right? I haven't seen it.
I don't know if we had the lineup yet or not. I forget. I was gonna
We'll
write
have
it down.
time during game 1 to look at things.
Yeah, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, neither did I.
I didn't even know there were 2 games.
Me
I don't
neither.
even know
I thought it was
about-
just the one at 1:00.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, unless it was fake news on the feed. I saw it yesterday. I wasn't
Wait.
sure either.
I'm
Are
checking
they
now.
both going to be 7 innings?
No, it's just
Don't-
one game today. I don't know if
know
it's
that
7 innings
either.
or 9
I
innings.
Okay.
don't know.
And now I'm worried that I put out fake news. So
That's all right.
edit that out if I'm wrong.
Edit that out. Oh my God. What do you guys think of the bullpen this spring? Seems like
Really good.
we're back on top as far as bullpen.
Yeah, I think so too. I still
Yeah.
want to see a little bit more of Justin Wilson. I know he had a
Yep.
terrible game, the one game last week or a couple weeks ago, but I really hope he can improve from that. But other than that, the bullpen's been pretty good this spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still like one more left-hander. You know,
Ludiga or Ludgi, however you say it.
how do you say his name?
I don't know.
Say it right.
I'm
I
not
don't
even
know
going to
either.
try.
I'm bad with pronouncing some names, so.
I mean, I looked up some numbers on Loizaga, Nelson, and Lutke, and they've given up no runs this season, any of them. Lutke's pitched in 5 games, no runs, 11 Ks, given up 2 hits in 5 games. I love the guy. He's not a kid, but I'm hoping he makes the team.
I hope so too. Like he's probably a good replacement for like Ottavino or another bullpen.
And
Yeah, the fact that we turned Ottavino into basically 4 players is phenomenal. You know, we got Brett Gardner, Justin Wilson, O'Day, and this Lipke guy or whatever his name is.
Yep.
Yes.
Cashman rides again.
Cashman we trust.
I love Cashman.
Yep.
He
Me
turns
too.
base metal into gold.
Yes, I could agree with that.
Yeah. He also finds those diamonds in the rough too. So.
A
Yes,
lot. I mean,
definitely.
people don't want to trade with them anymore because of Voit, Gio, and
Yeah. Even Didi, like when Didi was on the
DJ.
team, that was a huge diamond in the rough.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about who got sent back down to AAA? I know Ford is going back down.
Ford needs to get traded. He needs to be gone.
He needs to be gone, and he needs to play somewhere every day.
He needs to play in a beer softball league on Saturday. That's what he needs to do. He'd hit like 800 home runs. All the guys would love him, but he's not a major league talent. I'm sorry.
That's interesting. Albert Abreu, I wasn't surprised, but I like Abreu.
I wasn't surprised at that either. I think he needs more time to
His
develop.
command. He doesn't have the command. Brooks Christie, I really didn't see that much of. Any thoughts on Brooks Christie? You know, the number of names that come up when I'm watching a Yankee game that I've never heard of amazes me.
Yeah.
Especially
same here.
Yesterday there was one named, or the day before, McLean. I never heard of this person. Where did he come from? I mean, then I have to Google him, but it's like, wow.
With us?
Yeah.
What?
There's so many names. There's a second Garcia. and so I was confused by that. I was like, there's another Garcia on the roster, or maybe a non-roster invitee, but
yeah, it could be a non-roster.
You know, I wanted to ask, we started out talking about the AL East, and I wondered whether, I had a question I asked myself, whether wins matter in spring training.
Oh, yeah.
Because it seems like people tend to discount the whole spring training experience, which I think wins are not important in spring training, of course, but at the same time, the individual performances need to be successful performances. People's lives are depending on their spring training performances. So
I definitely agree. Yeah. Like the wins, they don't matter at the end of the day, because a team could win all the spring training games and then start off the season and lose all 12 games, basically. But the individual performances definitely matter. Like you want to see, as the spring training goes along, a gradual improvement of each player to get them ready for the regular season. And then you just hope that they stay consistent throughout the regular season, obviously barring any injuries, rest days.
Yep.
For me, it's about, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Evan.
For me, it's about conditioning, because we have seen players do really well in spring and it doesn't mean anything. Greg Bird broke the home run record with 8.
That's right.
And, you know, how's he doing? He's still in the minors on his 4th team now because no one wants him. So.
Or with Mike Ford in that other.
I'll never give up on Greg Bird. No, I'm kidding.
I like Bird, but for me, it's about conditioning, getting into routine and the rhythm for the, you know, regular season. It's 162 games, so like you really need to prep your body to be able to handle that amount of. It's the only sport that basically we talk about for a full 10 months because there's always action for 10 months. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yep.
I think the only reason that winning matters is because, you know, we want the team to be entirely pumped for the season opener. And if they're coming off good momentum in spring training, you know, in their minds, I would imagine a win is a win, you know, and it doesn't count towards any gain, but don't you think they'd be a little bit more hyped if, you know, they're coming off, you know, some wins going into opening day or first game, you know?
I think it depends on the player. You need Gary Sanchez to have all of that because unfortunately, I think he gets in his mind when he's negative. So when things start to get negative with him, they just start to spiral. So you need him to be in a good, positive mindset.
Yeah.
But someone like DJ LeMahieu, he's fine. You don't have to worry about him ever.
Nope.
Yeah.
And after all, winning is the name of the game. I mean, winning a World Series is what it's all about. And you do want to have that momentum going into the season a little bit, and you want to cultivate that winning attitude. But as you say, and ultimately, spring training wins don't matter, obviously. Anybody want to add anything today? Anything we didn't cover that you had topics you wanted to go over?
No, I'm just, you know, excited to watch the ball today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what the lineup is. And I I think I did see it. I just didn't write it down.
I
So
know
go out there
Brett's
and check
leading
it out.
off again. They got Brett leading off again, and I know that's going to make a lot of people crazy. And I know Voigt's in cleanup.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't remember.
Why do so many people dislike Brett Gardner? Explain that to me, because I don't get it.
I don't either, Evan.
I get it. I think that Gardy is taking up a spot on the roster that we could have had Michael Brantley. I mean, we've already got Clint Frazier. He's pushing Frazier out of at-bats.
We wouldn't have had
Yeah.
Brantley, though. Look at the contract Brantley got. There was no way Cashman was going to give that money. So,
I know.
I would have picked Brantley over Gardner, too, but it wasn't an option.
I know. You're
True.
right.
You do have a good point there. But I definitely
And I
agree
think-
with like, oh,
Yeah,
sorry, go
so-
ahead.
No, Laura, go ahead.
Okay. Well, because I'm one of the fans who I want Clint Frazier to succeed and be the best he can be, because he had a really good season last season, and I only want him to keep going up from there, because he was definitely a far better improvement from 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people, I loved him for his offense, but his defense he struggled with immensely. And I know I commented on a few times being like, he needs to improve or else he's going to lose a spot. And when he improved on his defense last year, I started getting on that, keep playing him more often. When he's playing, he's more consistent, and he's done that so far. So I want him to play as many games as possible. And I still love Brett Gardner at the end of the day, but I would prefer him to be our 4th outfielder and not play every single day.
I think that's what you'll see in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Brett will be, more on the bench, maybe DHing here and there, and then going in when he needs to. So I think we have that coming.
We have durability issues on this team. People get injured. So,
yeah,
having a guy like Brett who can play right, center, and left
that's right.
gives you more depth. That's why they needed him.
That's right. And he still has the speed, by the way. He still has some good speed on him.
Yeah.
He's got good speed. And 2 years ago, what was it, 2018 was his best season.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. So pinch running and when you need him out in the field.
Yeah, and defensively, he's been a Fielding Bible Award winner several years. I don't know if he's got gold gloves. I can't think.
He does. He has 1 gold glove, but he should have at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Alex Gordon has 9 and has stolen at least 3 from him. And he finally retired the year that Brett is no longer a starter. So thank you, Alex Gordon. You suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you listening, Alex Gordon?
We're pretty through with you, man. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a joy.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, and goodbye.
Take